Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, all folks who are tuning in this morning, getting ready to get started with our webinar. Very excited to get things going. As we have mentioned to you guys, we are going to be discussing church mobile apps, talking about what the church app, really what a church app does for a function, how you guys can look at getting your own church app and what's involved with that. And for those of you who are Sharefaith members, we'll also be discussing some exciting new things coming down the pipeline for Sharefaith church apps too, so you get a little sneak peek of the discussion as to what's going on there. For those of you who haven't been to one of these webinars before, my name is Zach, and I'll be hosting you guys today. I have with me Mr. Aaron Adachi, who is going to be on standby answering questions for you guys. That's him. All right, back to your computer, Aaron. All right, people are going to be wanting to talk to you, so. That's Mr. Aaron Adachi, everyone. And I have to say, Aaron is a huge help here. He's our HR specialist, as well as just make sure that we have everything that we need behind the scenes. Seriously, he's in charge of like 90% of the stuff that needs to be done in the background. Everything from getting the equipment and stuff we need from webinar down to making sure that we have toilet paper and soap around this place. So big hand for Aaron, big hand. You the real MVP, you know, big hand for Aaron. So. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Before we get on any further, I'm going to go ahead and pray. So, Father God, thank you guys. Father God, thank you so much for just everyone here today, for just this opportunity to discuss the idea of another way that churches can reach and engage both the people in their flock and as outreach, Father. I ask that you would bless this time, help us to see more of how we can utilize the tools and resources that you've given the church to be able to communicate with people in this day and age. I ask that this time would be fruitful, that the information would bless those who are here today. And Father, we just ask that everything goes smoothly with the webinar, and we thank you and we love you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, so as I said, we will be talking about Sharefaith church apps and really church apps in general and the discussion going on with that. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and kick things over to my screen so you guys can see everything that's going on. All right, so now you should see a giant yellow picture on your screen. And as I said, if you guys are not familiar, maybe this is the first time you've been to a Sharefaith webinar, or maybe even this is the first time you've heard of Sharefaith. I just want to make sure you guys know a bit about who we are, what we do, and why we do it. So Sharefaith, we've been around quite a while, involved with ministry resources, doing all kinds of different things. I'll show you the different aspects that we cover. But really, as a company, what we do, the purpose of it, the drive behind it, we want to make sure that churches have the tools and resources that they need to further the gospel, to spread the truth of Jesus to others. And our mission is to partner with churches globally in expanding their outreach and proclaiming the gospel. And I am, I'm so thankful that we do have a real massive global family of churches that are all part of Sharefaith. Over the past 14 years, we've had the privilege of serving over 120,000 churches in over 160 different countries. So we do everything from worship media, church websites, Sunday school, mobile apps, and online giving. So we cover a huge different range of different things that you guys can utilize within your churches. Now, I was going to let you guys know, if you have not done so before, down below the player, you should see a spot where you can chat with us. So if any questions come up along the way, Aaron's going to do his best to answer as many questions as he can, and we'll have some time at the end of this webinar where he'll field some over to me so I can communicate those to you guys live and try to do our best to take care of that. And if you don't mind, we'd love to hear where you guys are coming, where you guys are tuning in from. So if you can put in the city and state that you're out of, or if you're from another country. I saw last webinar we actually had quite a few international visitors. We had some folks out of Africa. We had somebody from the Netherlands, another person from the UK. So it's really awesome to see that kind of thing happening where people from all over the world are tuning in and checking out stuff that's going on here at Sharefaith and wanting to learn more about church communications and growing in that area. So that's so awesome. So now let's go ahead and get to the topic at hand. But first, I want to discuss a little bit about church communication, because really everything that we're talking about here, it's going to be a matter of trying to be more effective at implementing tools and resources to enhance, or should I say just allow you to do more within your church communication strategy. And so this is an example of just a real basic, just foundation of a church communication strategy. Now, the first step in most cases is outreach. You want to go out, you want to meet people where they're at, you want to go into your communities, you want to spread awareness of your church, of the gospel, and try to present yourself so that folks know where you are and what you stand for. So outreach is the first step in most cases, getting out there and getting the word out about your church to potential visitors. Now, within outreach and after that, really the point is to connect with people. So not just simply being present, but being involved as well. Connecting with people in your community, establishing a relationship somehow so that you can go ahead and then from that point, once you're connected, follow up and actually help them to spiritually grow. So discipling them. So once someone's connected and they've made that decision to kind of become part of the fold of your church, from that point then it's a matter of helping them to grow and enabling them, and as Ephesians says, equipping the saints for the work of ministry. So definitely, making sure that discipleship is always the purpose behind what you're doing with your relationship with people so that they can grow in their relationship with Christ. So I say all that because nowadays we have to look at the way that we are communicating, not just the church to the people, but really as people as a whole, as a society as a whole. How are we used to communicating back and forth with individuals and organizations alike? Well, nowadays everything is so online driven, and we have to look at the fact that things are moving away from your standard desktop platforms, even laptops and things of that nature, to a more mobile approach. So more folks are accessing ways of communicating with other people through their mobile devices, whether that's a smartphone, a tablet. Studies are showing that as time progresses, we're seeing more and more people switching to a mobile platform to do simple things like browsing the web, checking their emails, and so on and so forth. So making sure that you have a mobile presence is essential. Now, one could argue, and we often have this question, and I'll get a bit more into detail to it later, but just to keep in mind, some people will ask what the real difference is between a mobile website and a mobile app. But before we get there, I want to talk a bit about why a church would have a use for a mobile app. This is something that I think, a lot of times when you first come up to it, you see the technology's there, you see that people are using it, but you want to know how, and you want to know how your church can benefit from using this technology. So really, I've only got 6 points I'm going to show you here, and there's way more I can think of, but I'm just going to go ahead and kind of show you an initial 6 that I feel are very, very big points to make. The first one is it's a matter of increasing engagement. So a mobile app is much more engaging than any other form of online platform out there, and you could say so just because if you look at the way people engage with websites, the way that people engage with social media, yes, those are very active and viable forms of communication, but a mobile app is much better about being something that's always present, that people can access more instantly, and it's something that communicates to them more proactively too, which I'll discuss here in a little bit further in a little bit. On top of that, it's a great way to make more effective communication and announcements. So whenever you as a church are trying to do something that you want to make sure that your congregation is aware of and informed of, this is a more useful tool to be able to communicate that. Just because otherwise, if somebody has your app installed, they're going to receive a notification directly on their phone that they're carrying around with them 24 hours a day in most cases. Versus having to go online and check your social media, maybe getting a notification about that on their page, maybe not, the way social media works, or relying on them to go and find the information on your website. Again, I'll kind of get into a bit more detail and talk about that more in a sec, but it's a much more effective tool for announcing things and keeping people in the loop. On top of that, it's a great way to edify people, and this is part of the discipleship part, giving them information that helps them to grow spiritually. So not only is it a practical tool, but it is in the sense of just for your church to make sure people know what's going on, but it's a great way that you can still communicate to them and provide spiritual guidance and feeding them throughout the week, because you can post things with devotions, you can post Bible study information, notes from previous sermons, that they are constantly being fed with things that can help them to grow in their spiritual walk too. On top of that, it's a great way to increase networking. It's a simple platform that makes it super easy for you to share content on other ways online. So they can post stuff they see, for example, to their social media timelines and pages if you want. They can, follow up with stuff and be able to tell people about it and send links to, whatever it might be, a post on your website that they found encouraging or they want to share with other people who they think could benefit from it. So it's a great way to increase networking, and that also works to kind of spread outreach and allow your users to help spread awareness about your church, and again, also to be able to encourage others as well with the message of the gospel. It's a fantastic way to make sermons accessible. This is definitely one of the #1 uses that you'll find people are going to have in the mobile app. Whenever a new sermon is uploaded, then it's going to be available through the app. They can listen to it through streaming, or they have the option, even in most cases, to download the sermon if you let them. So they can be able to take sermons with them, and this is a great way if somebody misses a service for any reason, if they're traveling, if they're sick, whatever the case may be, but they still wanted to catch the message, then they can go in and be able to follow through and follow the sermons by simply going and listening to them online. Definitely one of the main uses I use it for if I'm unable to hear a sermon. Me being a youth pastor, I'm back teaching the youth, and so I don't usually get to hear the main service, so I'll catch it later in the week as it's available and be able to listen to it that way, so I can hear what everybody else is hearing and just be fed myself. And then, as I said, I've only got 6. I can think of way more, but this is just another one I want to point out. It makes giving easier too. I can tell you that ever since we added giving to my church's mobile app, I always do it that way. I just go on, it takes me just a couple seconds to get to the giving section, be able to enter my information, and then do my giving that way whenever I want to. So it's a lot faster, more convenient for people who are just looking to go on real quick and get it done. And it's something that I can access any time of the day, any day. So that's a great way to do that as well. So now let me talk a bit about the communication style here, because I know, again, coming kind of back to that question of mobile sites versus mobile apps, and I'm going to have a more a larger approach on that here in the next slide. But let's talk about reactive communication. So this is an example of whenever somebody is going to actually initiate the interaction. And so your platform is being reactive to them in that sense. It's waiting on them to initiate the conversation, either by going to your website, by going to your social media channels, by going to whatever it is that you have set up online as just a destination for information about your church. So they have to go on there, and the website, of course, needs to be, if you're in the example of a church website, it needs to be something that's geared towards everybody. So you may have people who are part of your church who already know what your church is about and everything, but that information as to what your church is about still needs to be there, because you're going to see a lot of new visitors who come to your website as well. So that's just a thing where you have to be mindful. Your website is going to be much more expansive information. It's going to be a much larger source of information that people will come to, but that does mean quite a bit more navigation involved in many cases for people who just want to come see one thing or follow through with one event that's happening, or what the case may be. Now that's where this is a really nice feature of the app. The app will actually notify users proactively. So as you have content that's available, it'll automatically alert whoever has the app that there's information on there that is pertaining to your church, and whether that's an announcement about an event, maybe it's a reminder about something that's happening, maybe it's just a notice that, hey, the new devotional is available, or these are the Bible study notes from last week, or here's the sermon from last service. So whatever the case may be, and it's a more direct approach. It's much faster and more convenient for people who are trying to stay engaged and want to learn from your church and grow. So that it makes it a much nicer platform when we get to that final stage of the communication strategy I had up, which is discipling. So now let's talk a bit more at length here about apps versus websites. So a mobile app and a mobile website, a mobile app, as I was mentioning, has a much more active engagement style to it. You'll be able to more actively communicate with people through push notifications, through alerts, through content that's going to be meaningful to them and relevant to what they're wanting to know from your church. Mobile sites are going to be more passive. So that simply means that somebody's going to have to, type in your address or find you through a search engine, which is all good, but that's how they have to come about, or follow a link from, say, your social media, something like that, so they can come to your site and then go through and navigate to find the information they're looking for. Another nice thing about the mobile apps is the engagement level. In fact, studies have been shown that people with smartphones and tablets spend 18 times more of their time on a mobile app than they will through their web browser. So if they're looking for information about your church and they have access to the mobile app, they'll stay on it for longer, whether they're reading devotions on there, whether they're listening to a sermon through there, whether they're going through and getting to the giving section to get that taken care of, whatever the case may be, you're going to have more interaction and longer engagement where you're going to keep people engaged in the long run as far as what they're doing on your mobile app. Now, a website has the advantage of being more informative, but as I said, that can be a bit of a disadvantage for people who know exactly what they're looking for, but they just have to go through a different route, which takes longer to do so to get through. And I'm not suggesting that people are too lazy to do that by any means, but I'm simply saying it is a much more convenient platform when you know exactly what you're looking for, or there's specific information that pertains to people who are already part of the church or who are looking to be more part of the church through the mobile app itself. And lastly, I want to point out some strengths between these two. Now, as I said, I believe that a mobile app is a more powerful discipleship tool. It's something that engages people more effectively. It keeps people aware of what's happening at the church on a more consistent basis in a more active format of engagement. The website, however, is still incredibly essential. Without a website, you're talking about leaving yourself out of the possibility of being found in search results when people are going to Google and Bing and places like that to find churches in their area. Without that, you're cutting off a dramatic amount of traffic that you could see of people who are looking for churches in your area. And it's not to say that other people won't use your website either, even if they do have the app. It's simply that the app is going to have information that pertains to people who are already aware of what's going on in your church and want to stay in the loop as to what's going on. That's going to have a more effective approach to it. The website is much more effective as an outreach, as a silent spokesperson in a way of telling everybody everything about your church so that they can know whether or not they would like to perhaps attend and become a part of it eventually. So there's strengths between both, and there's that recognition of what one does more effectively than the other. And it's not to say that a mobile app could not be effective as an outreach tool, or that a website could not be effective as a discipleship tool. But these are just areas where you can see one is stronger than the other because of that. And there's things you can do to connect the two so that when somebody comes to the website, they can see an option to download the mobile app, so they can do so at that point. And likewise, the mobile app can still connect to information, even if it's perhaps temporary information or something a bit more unique and special that you want to link to through the app, you can still do so and connect to the website that way. So they can talk to each other and integrate and work together as a much more complete communication package for your church. All right, so that's all great. And, at this point, I'm thinking you can definitely see where a mobile app has value and has purpose for really any ministry. But I want to mention some stuff that is obviously maybe some hurdles that we want to look at, or as I have them labeled out here, mobile app mountains. There's a few things, and these are pretty big reasons why you'll see a lot of churches not adopting a mobile app platform yet. And we'll talk a bit more about those. And so you can kind of see exactly what we do here at Sharefaith to overcome these mountains. So the first thing is ease of use. We'll look at how simple is it to work with is a big question, and I think that's one of the biggest questions with any type of communication platform, with any sort of digital platform. Anytime you involve technology in it, I know that's the number one question that your existing staff and administration are going to have. How easy is this going to be used? Are we going to be able to work this thing the way we want to? Secondly, the time involved. Obviously, if I'm sure everyone here is most likely involved in ministry of some kind, and you recognize how much time you don't have that you really wish you did. And putting one more thing on your plate can be a real headache. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then lastly, and of course, this is another big question that unfortunately churches don't like to admit, but is a very big thing that comes up when you're looking at stuff like that. How much is this going to cost us? How much is this going to run us to put something like this? Is the value there behind it? So we'll talk about that as well. So the first thing, though, ease of use. And I'm trying to give you a realistic example of what you should expect with this. Now, a mobile app is not like a website in how it operates. It is in that it's an online platform. There is a server that has to host the information for you. Obviously people access the information online. It connects to your website. So there are similarities. But when it comes to putting something together, it's software. It's something that actually installs an application on the user's device. So you have to think of platform compatibility. You have to think of what the approach is going to be that you would take to get something like this. If you want something custom done for an app, you're easily looking at huge expenses to have a developer in it, because most likely you don't have a developer on hand at staff. Most churches don't. That is going to be able to tackle something like this and put it together for you. So the other thing is with platform compatibility, the biggest ones you want to have are iOS, which is your iPhones, your iPads, all of those guys, and then Android. Between the two of those, both make up about 85% or so of the entire smartphone market. So those two are must-haves to make sure that you are making yourself as compatible as possible with what your congregation is going to be having as far as the device goes. So secondly, time involved. Time is a very big deal. Obviously, you guys have to figure out, okay, first of all, who is going to do this? Who feels confident enough to go in there and put something like this together? But secondly, really, who has time? Because maybe you have a youth pastor who seems like he's knowledgeable in technology, or a senior pastor even who's knowledgeable in that stuff, or a web person who already takes care of your website, so he or she seems like a logical choice. Whatever you might be thinking that, but at the same time you go, well, looking at their workload and how much time they can actually volunteer, or even how much time they're already putting in, even if they're paid, just trying to be practical and realistic with what's the time's going to be involved in having to manage multiple platforms now and take care of all this on top of their other responsibilities. So that does become a factor, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. And lastly, as I said, how much is going to cost? Price is an important thing, and you may not even be aware of all the costs that are actually involved with putting an app together. First of all, whenever you're looking at places to put an app together for you, so you say, okay, we can't dedicate anybody on our team to build something like this because they just don't know how, so we're going to go ahead and outsource it and find a company that can help us. So things that you want to look at with companies that do that, Sharefaith included, you have to look at, okay, what are startup costs, if any? Most of the time, most companies are going to charge a fairly good-sized chunk startup cost. This can be anywhere from a couple $100s to a couple $1,000, depending on the company and what exactly they're going to do for you. So startup costs are a factor. Also, feature costs. Just getting an app doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get all of the cool features that you really want. If you want sermon podcasting through your app, or sermon podcasting is kind of a general term, but it's if you want sermons on your app, if you want to be able to host devotions or blogs or anything like that through your app, if you want notifications to come through your app, a lot of companies charge individually for those features to be added on. They're not necessarily part of the initial package, and they can easily ramp up costs. I've heard thousands of dollars even being added to the cost once you've got everything said and done. Also, with many companies, you have to look at monthly hosting. So as I said, just like a website, a mobile app does have to be hosted. The content and the information for it, all that stuff is hosted online somewhere. So most companies do have hosting costs that you'll find comparable to a lot of website hosting costs. So that is a factor as well. And then lastly, you have to look at developer license. This is, I believe this is particularly just Apple for this one. But if you're planning to have your app available through Apple, then if you're going to be your own developer, or a lot of companies still kind of make you be your own developer, even if they're actually the ones developing it for you, then you have to pay that annual developer license, which is another $100 a year or so. So these are all things that add up really fastly, and it can be discouraging when you're checking all this stuff out and you're seeing really everything that's involved. However, I want to talk to you guys about Sharefaith Church App. So if this is something that you guys are looking into and trying to determine how you can go about doing something, then I can tell you guys we've got a platform that personally I think is one of the most simple, cost-effective solutions out there. Of course, you know, I'm here at Sharefaith, so maybe I'm biased. But I just want to kind of show you guys around the stuff so you can see for yourself what I'm talking about. With simple, I mean no coding required. You just put your content on your app, you publish, you're done. There's nothing crazy that you have to do to put it together. You can even just upload your own graphics and do everything like that to customize it, so you have full freedom to put in your own logo, put in your own graphics, change your color scheme, designate what kinds of sections you want your app to have. So that's all there. Cost effective, it's part of Sharefaith's complete plan. We don't charge any extra for developer licenses. There's no setup cost. There's no monthly hosting fees. If you're a complete member, then you get the church app as part of your membership. No other costs involved. So that's a huge thing. And we'll be your developer, so we cover all of that stuff for you. And then, of course, one of the biggest things that no one else out there does when it comes to church apps is complete integration with your church website. So if you have a Sharefaith Church website, simply log in. You can manage everything for your app within there and be able to update it as you go. Now, I'll mention a little bit about the features, and I'm going to give you guys some information about some really awesome upcoming features that we're working on getting out hopefully by the end of this year is our goal. So the first feature I'm going to mention is the push notifications. Now, this is something that is a huge benefit from apps, having the ability for push notifications, for alerts. Again, this is you guys know what a push notification is. It's every time your phone chirps at you, whenever it's in your pocket, and you pull it out and you see, oh hey, whether it's a sports app to see your team's score, or maybe it's a notification somebody tagged you in a picture on social media, or in this case, doing anything from letting you know new content is available on the app to even allowing you to provide your own custom notifications. So in this example, you can see like a reminder for a meeting coming up, and so the church can actually send something like that and notify them that way, so they can pull it up in their notifications and see what's going on. In addition to that, the ability to use custom graphics. As I said, you can actually you can either upload images of your own, or we have a massive image library that we're connected to, literally thousands of images within the stock photo library, or you can download Sharefaith's other media resources. We have over 78,000 media resources on sharefaith.com that you can download and use. So if you're a member, then you have access to all of that anyway, so you can get that and be able to personalize and customize your app that way. And I can tell you too, we have, I don't know how many hundreds of mobile apps currently, and not one of them looks the same as the other. They've all got their own unique flair and design and aspects to it that really set them apart. Sermon audio playback, of course, is included. So as I said, we don't have any extra costs. We don't nickel and dime you for all the extra features that you guys want to have. So sermon audio playback is, of course, included because we know, hey, that's one of the biggest things people are going to want a church app for. So having that ability to play it and even download it and be able to save it on the app so they can listen to it later without necessarily needing to be in range of like their cell signal or worry about using their data or stuff like that. So that's an option there as well. And of course, an app, one of the best things about it is the ability to share encouragement, whether that's through devotionals, Bible studies. We've actually just recently included a Bible feature into the app. So it's built in and it has a few different translations people can choose from. They can choose their own fonts and kind of their style of how they like to read, similar to other Bible apps. But it's nice because you can actually tell people, hey, just download our church app, and then you guys can pull up the Bible right there if you want to. For people who are maybe new to the game or would just like a different approach. I think that the Bible feature in the church apps is one of the nicest looking ones I've seen, actually. I really like the layout and the format. It's very easy to read and just looks really nice. So that's an option there as well. It's also great for giving directions. You have the option of a location spot where you can actually put in the physical address of your church, and this is really cool for somebody who, like, they say they come to your website and they go, oh cool, they got an app, and they pop it up and they're like, oh hey, locations. They can tap that in, and then it'll tell them exactly where to go. It'll give them directions through their map app. So whether they have say Safari Maps, I think it's called, or Apple Maps, Google Maps, whatever the case is, whatever the one is that they have set as their default on their device, your church app will connect to, plug in the directions, and then they can go from there. So that's just a really easy, convenient way of finding out how to get to your church too. And then last but certainly not least on this list, the ability to simplify giving. Having a quick and easy way somebody can go on, put in their details and information. This can work with Sharefaith giving. This can work with any giving platform that you use. So it's not specific to one or the other. You can simply just connect to a giving form or page that you have set up, and then the app will send them that way so they can go in and put in their details and then be able to give within just a few seconds. And again, this is how I give to my church all the time. I just pull up the app and I'll just go right through there because it's the fastest way for me to get there and be able to just plug in and go and be done. So now on top of that, I do want to mention we've got some pretty awesome support people here at Sharefaith. So not only do you get all those cool bells and whistles, but we actually have support where you can call in and talk to somebody right on the phone if you want to. You can open up a ticket with us and we'll communicate back and forth with you on that. We have our member coaches, so if you're a member, you do have a member coach that will directly work with you guys and make sure that you have everything you need. If you guys have run into anything along the way, you're like, hey, this isn't working like I thought it should, or I'm having trouble getting to this spot or seeing how to do this, then our guys are so good about just getting right to you and helping you take care of whatever the issue may be. So I know we've been getting a lot of people who have been just on our Facebook, and we've been posting some reviews to our site too that we've been getting because we love you guys. We love having you guys as part of the team and just the support that you guys have for it, and we're just happy to be able to support and give back and help you guys any way we can. And so those comments and those compliments that we get from our members, and seeing that closeness that we have where we're praying for each other and we communicate to each other, and we always do our best to kind of check in once in a while and make sure everything's still going smoothly. So I mean, really, we have an awesome dedicated support team here at Sharefaith, and I know I hear the conversations the guys have all the time, and I'll be walking by and hear somebody on the phone who's praying with a member who's mentioned they're going through a hard time at that point. And so just having that kind of community and that connection with people is so awesome, I feel. So and real quick, I just want to mention, so with the complete package, because I mentioned that's where our church app is included, I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview look of what all comes with it. So with Sharefaith and with our church app solution, not only do you get a church app, but you also get a full-blown church website. You can actually have up to 4 websites with your account, but just one church app. And then you get access to all of our media. As I said, there's over 78,000 graphics, videos, templates, tons of things in there that you can utilize for your services or for any type of communication need within your church. We have a full-blown Sunday school resource set up, so you guys have access to get access to everything within our Sunday school database. So that's our kids videos, our lesson plans and curriculum, slideshows, there's Bible trivia quizzes, tons of print activities like mazes and crosswords and coloring sheets. And so there's lots of stuff there for the kids to be able to love and enjoy and be able to get Bible-centered gospel resources that are geared for them. And then, as I said, online giving is a feature that's included, and that comes with any of our plans. You can be a Sharefaith giving member, and there's no additional monthly fees or anything like that for it. And then we have our worship presentation software that you guys get that plugs in directly to PowerPoint. So if you guys use PowerPoint and wish it would be better for worship, then that's exactly what you guys are looking for. It also integrates with Sharefaith Media Library, our kids resources, the lyrics database from Song Select, so you can plug worship songs in with just a couple clicks. It's super fast and easy. And as I said, you get awesome support, lifetime support. We don't charge any extra for that. You can call us anytime during our business hours. We're here Monday through Friday from 6 to 5 Pacific time, and check in with us, and we're happy to help you guys out with anything you need. And we even offer website migration. So if you're here now, and you're going, this all sounds great, but we already have a website through somewhere else, but we really like this platform that we're seeing, and I'm going to show you more of what that platform looks like in just a second. I'm going to give you a little walkthrough here on the Church App Builder on our side. Then you guys can actually get your website migrated over for free. We'll take the content over and put it into a Sharefaith design that you like and plug it in for you so it's all set to go, and then turn it back over to you guys so you have the ability to customize it further and do whatever you want with it, get your church app set up and all of that fun stuff. So that is all included with Sharefaith, and you would be amazed at what's provided, especially with the value of cost that it comes with. So I'm going to go ahead and pop out of this real quick and pull up a quick walkthrough so you guys can check out what comes on the Church App Builder. So what I'm doing here right now is I'm logged in to a Sharefaith website, so I'm on the back end where the editing tools are. And you can see we actually have a special tab set up for the mobile app. And within here, this is just a demo one that we've got set up so you can kind of see the ins and outs of it, but this is exactly the same interface and controls and everything that you would get with your church app. Here we can put on the content that goes into the App Store and Google Play, so that's the name of your app, the title that will be underneath the icon when it's installed on someone's device, the keywords for when people are searching for your app on the App Store and Google Play, and a description that you can provide that just gives them a rundown of what the app does and why somebody would basically want to download it. Then underneath there, you have the freedom to upload your own icons, and Google Play has a featured image that shows up for people who are on the store with them, and so you can upload your own designs if you want within there so that people can have it with your logo or however you want to just make it so it's easy for them to recognize. And you can even put in your own launch images. You can see we've got some totally tubular, some radical pictures here. Oops. Some radical pictures here of a flaming acoustic guitar. The design choices of our developers who made this demo app. Personally, I think that's just really cool. So I totally am 100% for what they have there. And then as you go down, you've got spots where you can put in all the screenshots so people can see stuff, and it's very easy to take screenshots. You just go to a section while you're previewing your app and then be able to click the button, and it pops it right into the screenshots for you so you can update those whenever you need to. Now, all of this is a matter of just a simple interface that you can work within. The cool thing, as I said, the app does integrate with your website. So what it's doing is it's pulling in content that I've already put onto my site. When I uploaded my devotion, for example, onto the site, I published a devotional post. This section called Devotions is looking directly at my devotions category. So any posts that I put under that category, regardless of what they are, they'll come in and pull into my app as well. So people can be able to pull them up on the app or go to the website. They have the freedom to do either. And you can even choose how the layout looks. So right now, this is set up where we just kind of have these images just connected to each other, cascading down the app. Or you can do more of a thumbnail approach, so you can see some different examples of how that looks. Or you could even do a preview option where it has the thumbnail to the side, but then over to the right it has the title and a quick, just like the first couple lines from the beginning of your post, so people can kind of see what it says beforehand. So you can choose whatever format you like best and works best for your needs. You can even set, this is a cool new feature we recently added, because whenever you add new content, the app is designed so it'll alert people. So if they have their notifications set, then it'll tell them like, hey, there's a new blog post available. But if you want to set a little bit of a delay, so maybe not everybody's jumping on right that second to try and pull it up, or set a little delay so it maybe has some time to finish uploading, you can do like a 5-minute, 10-minute delay or so before it actually notifies people that the content is available. You can set it all the way up to 24 hours, or you can even say never. Just don't bother people when this is updated. So you have the freedom there to go and adjust that as you see fit. So you've got all these different sections here. Some of the sections come preloaded, so there's some already kind of made up that you can go in and customize however you see fit. You can see we've got a sermon section here, and so it's looking at different sermon playlists you have on your site and wants to know which ones to pull in. And again, it's very similar to the post where you have an image that you can you can attach to it, and content and everything like that. So and you can do different choices here of how this will look. Another cool thing is you can set whether or not you want to show titles on these. This is a new thing we've added just because some people, like you, go through the process of making a graphic that already has the title of the sermon series or maybe a title of the post if it's a devotional. You can enable this to show the title if you want to. So if maybe you just have like an illustration image but there's no text on it to say what it is, you might enable this so it just plugs in the title of the playlist automatically. Otherwise, if you go no, it actually says awakening on the graphic and be strong and all of those. I don't need it to say the text on top of that too. It kind of covers up the nice looking graphic I made. Then you can turn that off too. So there's customization features there that you can enable that we just recently added. You can go through, these are all the different icons to just click to edit something if you want to. The connect screen is basically where they can come. You can put a little about us type of thing in there, maybe give your service times, and then it has options at the bottom where you can plug in social media like Facebook and Twitter, your email address if you want them to be able to email you directly through there, even a phone thing. So if they're using their phone if the app is on a smartphone, they can tap that and it'll actually let them call the church's number directly from there, which is a nice convenient way to connect and contact you guys. If you want to, you can even hide sections. So turning off the eye simply means that it's hidden and that section won't be available. Maybe you're still working on that, or you don't really you want to be able to publish that soon, but you don't quite have the content yet that you're needing, so you can hide it until it's ready to actually be seen. And then finally, of course, you can delete sections as you don't want them either. So, and we also have a more section. Now again, you can actually move these around wherever you want. So I can pull inbox up here if I want to, and then or it'll tell me, like, once I reach a point where I have too many menu items, it'll stop me and say, hey, you got to move some stuff around. And so the more option lets you plug more sections in, but it's kind of like a sub menu, so people can go into more and then from that point choose the other sections that they want to go to. So you can go through, like, an inbox is a really nice feature. It'll hopefully you guys can hear me all right. I just realized my microphone was turned off. Sorry about that. Hopefully, we'll go ahead and turn over questions and answers. If there's anything, if you guys want to let us know if it cut out on you at any point with the audio, then I'll try to do my best to backtrack and make sure I didn't miss any information that you guys didn't get. But if you guys do have any other questions, though, this is a great time to ask about those, and I'll do my best to answer them. Just a heads up, if you guys are Sharefaith members with a church app already, and you're working on your app and you have some questions about the process of doing anything, or maybe if you're running into something that you're having trouble overcoming, whatever it might be, like just trying to figure out how to get a certain thing done, I would definitely recommend directing those questions to our support team. So if you go to support.sharefaith.com, they'll be able to jump right in there with you and take a look to see exactly what's happening. But if you guys have questions about what we've talked about today, or if you're curious to learn more about the church apps or Sharefaith, let's go ahead and answer those for you guys so we can do our best to make sure you guys feel like you understand and are confident in what we've discussed here. Anything coming through at all? Okay, all right. Well, I was just told, Aaron says that he was listening, and it sounds like I got cut off when I was explaining the new features. So I'll go back through those again just in case any of that got cut off. So the first big new feature that we're working on is the calendar for the apps. So a scheduling system within the app where they'll be able to see a calendar of events. And the idea behind that too, not just being a calendar within the app itself, but the ability to sync up that calendar to your calendar on your device, or specific events from that calendar. So when somebody goes to your app and they see that, oh hey, like the church has a harvest festival coming up, or there's a special Thanksgiving service, or whatever the case may be, especially right now with the busy holidays, then they can go on there and be able to select to add that event to their own personal calendar on their device. So then their device's calendar app will keep track of it for them, and they'll get alerts and reminders from their phone as it grows closer to that event, so they remember it. So that's the first big thing that we're working on. I know it's been a big request from people wanting to have a feature like that, so we are working on that, and hopefully, from everything I'm told, we're on track to have that available sometime in November for you guys, and we'll have a announcement once that's getting closer to provide more detail. And I don't have any screenshots or anything, unfortunately, yet, but you'll get all that as we get closer. And then, in addition to that, we are working on some additional new features, one of which we're going to try working on something to give you guys some analytics on your church app usage, so downloads and users and things like that, so you guys will get a better awareness of what's happening with your church app and who's using it, and help you understand more where it's at in your congregation and how it might be able to be more heavily used. And then in addition to that, we're also working on improving options for social media sharing within the app. So those are all things that don't have a ton of information on us right now, but those are our goals, to have all of those features out to you guys before the end of the year, ideally. So if you are part of our Sharefaith newsletter, you would have seen an announcement from us on that. And okay, just making sure my microphone's still on this time around. All right, and so yeah, but if there are any questions that you guys have now at this point where you want to know more about Sharefaith church apps or church apps in general, if you guys want to discuss things, ideas on how to use them better, but if you guys do have a church app with us already and you're having questions that are more technical questions, I would recommend directing those to support.sharefaith.com so one of our member coaches can actually get in touch with you and look directly at your app to help you guys out with that. But Aaron, is there anything folks are asking about, or did I cover it all? Am I that good? Come on, I can't be that good, guys. I mean, I'm pretty good, but I'm not that good, right? On anything? All right. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, all right, cool. Well, shoot, I'm just I'm more knowledgeable than I thought then, I guess. So if anything does come up, though, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us. Just go to support.sharefaith.com, and you'll be able to reach any of our member coaches who can assist you guys further. We will hang out just for a few more minutes in case you guys do have anything that pops up that you want to ask about. So Aaron will still be on chat here up until noon, which I think we're getting close to. And then, yeah, if there's anything else you guys need. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pray us out, and we'll let you go. Father God, I thank you so much for everyone here who is here and really just looking to make sure that they are